If we could please have roll call, Mr. McBurnett.
Councillor Zadi. Hanson.
Here.
Batolo.
Here.
Robinson.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Demas.
Here.
Pedri.
Here.
Hickerson.
Here.
Mayor Mickelson.
Here. Okay. Well, before we get started, and we'll have International Day up first, I just want everyone to know that the funding awards will be inversely proportional to the time spoken. No, but if the International Day folks would like to come up to the podium, we'd love to hear from them.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is JT Larson. I serve as the event chairman for Rock Springs International Day. With me, I have Kayla Manico. She's our vendor coordinator, and Tamara Kendrick. She's one of our volunteer coordinators for the event. Today, we ask you, the city, to fund us with $30,000. In the past, at least since I've been on the committee for the past 6+ years, the city's done $10,000 annually, and that goes to help support us with gathering great acts for our community to enjoy for free. And so, but in the next 2 years, we're going to be preparing for our 100th anniversary, and Rock Springs is known as the home of 56 nationalities, and that's what we like to play on as the city's marketing keys. So, today we're just asking the council to consider that at least the $10,000, and then we will be approaching the council for that additional 20 as well to get ready for the 100th anniversary. But I'm sure that all the documentation's been sent to you, so I guess I'd stand for any questions specifically on our budget, and I can answer any questions along those lines.
Council?
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
When exactly is the 100th anniversary?
Thank you, Mayor Mickelson and Councilor Hickerson. So the 100th anniversary is on July 11th, 2026. The event was started in 1926. It was originally International Night, where people got together at I believe it was the Slavinsky Dome, but I could be wrong on that. But and just shared cultural heritage. Had a night where they held candles up and sang different cultural songs from their countries, and so that's what we're deeming as the 100th anniversary of the event. So,
Thank you.
Council?
I don't have anything.
Councilor Zadi?
And for full disclosure, my wife sits on the as entertainment chair for the International Days and has for a few years now. But just an explanation, just so I know kind of what the request is in that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but to help explain to council. When a lot of what the request goes towards is going to be entertainment, I believe. And I know the thought was to try and bring something or someone big, or would bring a big crowd, and we're looking at the cost of entertainment has increased, but what that pays for usually is travel expense and lodging for these bands, plus their stage fee, I guess you'd call it. I do know that every dollar is scrutinized pretty well with the organization, from not only the entertainment side, but I know Greg he watches the pennies quite a bit. And so I do believe the money is frugally spent and spent wisely for what we have. And the International Days has really become kind of the signature summer event for Rock Springs, and has grown quite a bit throughout the years. So if you have any questions on that, I can help answer as well moving forward, but I do support the request just because of what it stands for and what we're trying to accomplish there.
thank you, Councilor Zadi. And just so the council has a little bit more background information. Over the years, International Day has been able to save up our profits from beverage sales and reinvest those dollars back into the park. Most recently, a few years ago, we put $26,000 of our own dollars into the park to upgrade the electricity to better service events for the community. So we try to take care of Bunning Park because that's what we want to call home for a long time for our events. So And we're looking at future improvements as well. So.
And it's my understanding that this increase request is a one-off. It's just to secure those groups early enough for the 100th anniversary event.
Mayor Mickelson, that's correct.
Very good.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a cover charge to get in to International Days? It's free to the public?
Thank you, Councilor Demas. Yes, this event is totally free to the public. You can purchase beverages or food from vendors at that site, but the actual entertainment portion is free. You don't have to pay to enjoy the concerts. So.
Okay. Thank you all very much. Next up, we have the Young at Heart Community Center.
Hello, good evening, council members and Mayor Nicholson. How are you guys? So as many of you know, we at the Young at Heart we provide a multitude of services for our community. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. This year we are asking for a little bit more money. So our raw food request for our special diets and our congregate home delivered meals program that is staying the same at the $51,750. But we are asking for an increase on the other portion because we are looking at doing an LED lighting upgrade to our building. So we're asking for 35% of the total cost of that upgrade. And we also have to have a point-to-point inspection this year on our HVAC system. So we're asking for an additional $8,008 for that. So total on our first request is $51,750, and the second request is $66,064.95. With the LED lighting upgrade, what we have noticed is in our building we have a lot of old lighting that requires ballasts, and those ballasts are very costly and they're getting harder and harder to obtain. So our fear is that eventually we won't be able to fix those in the future. And also with this LED lighting upgrade, it would in turn save the city on the 35% of the utilities expense. So that is our request for this year.
Council?
Your Honor, so is the total you're requesting the 66,000, or are you requesting 51,000 and 66 for a total of 100?
That's correct.
Okay.
So there are two separate requests that we put in each year. One is for raw food, and then the other portion is for the utilities portion.
Your Honor. Yes, sir. So when you're saying 35% savings, is that just the savings on the electricity or on the overall or all of the
All of the
utilities?
Because the city pays 35% of our monthly utilities. So with this upgrade, it would be a savings that would be passed on to the city, reflected in our monthly statements.
Okay.
Is there an average monthly utilities that the city puts in, or that you have? Do you guys have a averaged out per month, so we would know what that savings would actually be?
Yeah, so I actually don't have access to the invoices for that, because it goes through the city and the county. But our request, historically, we put in a request for $26,250, and that is the portion for the annual expense of the 35% of the utilities. And I'm assured that those invoices would be achievable if we needed to compare those numbers.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
A question then, as you said in the past, it looks like we've had 31,000, 28, 28, 26,250. Then the request this year for 66,064. This is a one-time request for that amount. Do you anticipate that going down in the following years?
This is just the one-time request. If we do get that LED lighting upgrade, I would expect that our utilities would be lowered because of that. So that additional
Is there an incentive to do that project all at once, or can we stagger it, like in sections?
So we actually went through Rocky Mountain Power because they do have an incentive program, and that's where we got our initial quote from. So I know that there are incentives that would go along with that. The quote I had completed a couple of months ago, so there may be changes in that. And you know, every day it seems like things are getting more and more expensive.
Sure.
Supplies wise and things like that. So I would say the sooner that we could get this accomplished would be better.
And that includes labor too, or is that just the fixtures?
That's correct. That's everything. That would be installation, labor, all of the equipment, everything.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Now we have the Southwest Wyoming Regional Airport.
Champagne appetite.
In keeping with your guidance, Mayor, we need a lot of money. Thank you. I don't think that suffices, but I thought it'd be worth a try. So Mayor, Councilors, Devin Brubaker, Airport Director for the Southwest Wyoming Regional Airport. I stand before you this evening asking for a number that I hoped I would never have to ask you for. And it represents a $450,000 increase over last year's funding request, or approved amount, I believe, if I'm doing my math correctly. And that largely has a lot to do with, or mostly has a lot to do with, our ongoing litigation for our construction projects. I was able to share with all of you some information via email a couple weeks ago. I was able to meet with your budget committee a week ago or so and share some more detailed information about that. Obviously, due to this setting, I can't go into a lot of details on those specific expenditures outside of the fact that we have a trial scheduled for March 17th, 2025 for the terminal litigation. Our litigation for the snow removal equipment building is January of 2026. And so as we look forward into what the costs are going to be to carry these litigations through to trial, we estimate that to be a total of $1 million cost, to be above what we've already spent. We have already incurred about $750,000 on this litigation, and we're estimating another $1 million as we move forward. That could change, but that's where we're estimating it now, with expert witnesses, legal fees, filing fees, all the things that come with litigation. So just briefly about the airport, I had hoped to be able to walk in here tonight with the recent announcement this last weekend of the addition of our second daily flight, to be able to come in here and say, hey, my request is going to be reduced because we have new revenue coming in because of that second flight. The reality is our members of Congress have decided that they would like to terminate funding for a critical program that exists at the airport, having to do with having law enforcement presence available during flight operations and during screening operations. So effective April 30th, the funding we've received from the federal government to help subsidize law enforcement presence at the airport, which has a requirement from TSA to have there. That funding's gone as of April 30th. And so we are working with your police chief, working with the sheriff in the very early stages of that, of determining a path forward to maintain that law enforcement presence, but it's going to come at a cost to the airport. So while I had hoped to come in here and say, hey, we're going to take that new revenue and be able to reduce our request, we're going to take that new revenue from the second daily flight and sink it right back into law enforcement costs, unfortunately. So we can maintain that critical service for our customers, our tenants, and for our TSA employees. So with that, I have provided a summary of kind of the history of where the airport's at, progression of what's happened over the last 4 years between COVID impacts on the aviation industry, pilot shortage impacts, obviously litigation impacts. I do want to note, as much as I would love to say that this budget request includes every penny that I might need for the next year. It does not include any amounts for construction for the terminal project. I will likely be back before you in the next couple weeks having a separate conversation about that, with more details to come. And I'm once again happy to schedule individual meetings with you all to kind of walk you through where we're at with that project. Happy to answer any questions about a request. I know it's a lot. It's not where we want to be. We've proven over the last 9 years we're going to get our requests lower, 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 and we're in a spot where we just can't go lower right now. We have reduced our reserves by 44.3% since fiscal year 23, and we've self-funded the litigation to date. We have not pushed that onto the city and the county, but we've gotten to the point that to maintain our minimum cash on hand to cash flow our operation, I can't take our reserves any lower. So I would point out too that you don't have to only shoot bullets or targets at me or shoot me. 2 of my board members are division heads for you, department heads for you. So feel free to spread the wealth between the 3 of us. So you're welcome, Jim and Matt.
Yeah, very good.
Happy to answer any questions. I apologize that I'm even having to ask for it. It's just where we're at.
Councilor Batolo.
How was the 450 arrived for the city of Rock Springs versus Green River versus the county?
So right off the bat, Green River does not contribute whatsoever to the Joint Powers Agreement. They are not a party to the Joint Powers Agreement. That is an agreement solely between Sweetwater County and the city of Rock Springs. The Joint Powers Agreement splits the financial relationship on a 2/3 county, 1/3 city. And therefore, that's how the board representation is largely aligned as well, with 3 board appointees from the county and 2 from the city. The way that Joint Powers Agreement is worded, the challenge that we often face is if one entity requires a certain amount of reduction or doesn't approve a request, we have to reduce the other request by the same amount to comply with the Joint Powers Agreement. So that it's one of those things I just want to make sure you're aware of, especially we only have this conversation once a year, that if you guys all say, hey, we got to cut 10,000, I also have to then take 20,000 off of the request to the county. So it ends up being a $30,000 hit to the airport. And just hopefully that helps answer that question.
Thank you.
Yeah, just a question on reserves. You know, you cut it quite a bit. You're still showing about 1.2 million, but it's just an explanation is you still try to keep cash on hand and in reserve. If something were to happen, black swan event, we've seen how things can turn for an airport. That's the intent for those reserves as well, to keep you running for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
we see that money there, but it's there for a reason. It's not just to save.
Yeah, we do not have a slush fund, to be clear. When you look at our reserves, we have 700,000 that is for emergency reserve / cash flow, and that's just so we can pay our monthly bills while we await for revenues to come in. We have dedicated reserve funds for our water system. Reminder, we're the only commercial service airport in the lower 48 that has to truck its water to the airport, and we are a completely separate water system from the city that we have to maintain to the same standards that the city has to maintain theirs to. So we have a reserve fund for that. We have a fuel farm replacement reserve, which is how we pay our lease payment to the city from years ago when the city assisted with funding our fuel farm. So that's what that account is for. Hangar facility reserve, that funding is dedicated for capital or major maintenance on our hangars. We have 52 hangars that have to be maintained, and all of that funding is derived from the rates and charges we charge the users of those facilities, not from you all. We have equipment replacement reserve, customer facility charge reserve, which is a restricted by regulation reserve. That is a charge we charge rental car companies and users per day. We have to keep that in reserves and only use it to rental car infrastructure. And then finally, we have a runway reconstruction reserve right now of 200,000, and that is because we have some very large capital projects for our airfield coming up in the next couple of years that are going to require significant match dollars. And we've been trying to, when we have a successful year, put money over to that. So when we get to those large $40 million, $50 million airfield projects, it doesn't come and hit your guys' bottom line. So that's what the reserves are there for. But all told, that's 1.4 million, and that equates to less than 120 days cash on hand for the airport, including, or that's just operating. If you wrap in capital, it's less than 60 days cash on hand.
Council?
I have one more question.
sir.
On that funding for federal funding for law enforcement, what was the dollar amount for that you received?
So we received it depends. It's an hourly figure. So what we received was $22 an hour that we would get reimbursed for every hour that one of your Leos was up at the airport. The city was covering anything above and beyond that, and was just taking that offset and not griping too loud, which we greatly appreciated. But that is gone now completely, which created an impetus, which I don't disagree with, from your police chief and your mayor that, hey, we can't keep doing this. We were maybe okay doing it at a partially subsidized level, but we can't keep doing it for free. And so that's where I'm chatting with your police chief and the sheriff about how do we get that coverage and what does that cost look like to the airport board. We estimate based on $200 per flight, 700 something flights a year. It ends up being about $148,000.
Really
have
hit
that
the
service.
county hard. They got more money than we do.
Your Honor, this is either for the chief or for you, Devin. Has the sheriff's department been putting any time into TSA coverage?
Counselor, they have not. So the relationship has solely been with the city for ever since the project or the inception of the LEO reimbursement program back in 2002. The county, depending on the sheriff from time to time, has said, hey, if the city ever doesn't want to do that, let me know. We'd be interested in it. I haven't had that conversation in depth with Sheriff Grossnickel yet. We've been exchanging some emails trying to schedule a meeting for the next week or so to figure out a path where the county could help support due to staffing challenges and recruitment challenges that both departments face, and maybe share some of that load between the two different law enforcement entities.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, in with the wonderful addition of another flight, which is awesome, we don't have enough officers to do it, even if we wanted to. So we're going to need that support. So we're grateful that Sheriff Grossnickel is open to that conversation. And I think it cost us, with the reimbursement, about $110 an hour. Is that
Not an hour, a flight,
a flight?
Your Honor. It's,
Yeah.
roughly
That's what I
about
meant.
$50.
Have you ever
an
been to
hour.
that airport? It's like 30 minutes in and out.
Correct. You
Yeah.
are correct, Mayor.
Yeah,
We
so
are
it was a pretty
funny.
big expense city has borne, so it'll be good to have some support there.
Do we have a total number for what was spent last year, or in the last fiscal year, at the airport?
Counselor, I don't have that number. You have a rough estimate?
I have all that data, so they submit all that data to the airport. I don't have it off the top of my head right now, but we could get that to you.
Okay, thank you.
So Heather Marsh in the police department supplies weekly or monthly reports, and I forget the interval, that shows the exact hours and the loaded cost for each officer that provides that service. And then we submit that to TSA, and then they give us the measly $22 an hour, at least until April 30th. So we are actively advocating for Congress to restore funding, but with the election cycle, even if they were to restore it in fiscal year 25, we likely won't have an appropriations bill till April or May of 2025. So we're a year out, would be my best guess, from our next chance of seeing funding restored to that program. Our intention is to track all of the expenses the same way we have been, in case Congress gets a kind heart and says, hey, we're going to restore this program and we're going to put extra money there to reimburse the expenses while it was unfunded, which Congress does things like that. So we're going to be prepared just in case that happens.
Very good.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I don't have the numbers in front of me about what's spent on that, but we usually used to get around $15,000 a year roughly reimbursed to us. And, you know, we've had that program since I've been here in 2006, and it's gone down every year that we've had it. So not too surprising that they cut it at this point,
Right.
but still difficult, I guess.
Right. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Devin.
Thank you, sir.
Can I just be sure that all the questions don't count against my time for your ratios?
Clarified that up front.
Yeah, too late now. Sorry. Okay, up next we have the Joint Powers Combined Communication Board.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Rick Hawkins, the Executive Director, Sweetwater Combined Communications. I have with me our IT Director, David Halter. Pretty sure he's known among the group here as well. So I probably shouldn't be doing the talking, and he should, but it's all right. I'll start off doing this. I know that we've submitted the paperwork and requests, and I'm pretty sure that you've all had a chance maybe to look at it. If you so desire, this year's budget request comes in with 5.98%, so roughly 6% increase. That particular increase, we get there because of an increase in personnel salaries. And most of the majority of the rest of the increases is related to the software that we use, some end-of-life equipment replacement that we have to make. And if any of you were here for the annual report, we were able to complete many of those projects the previous year. It'll continue on this year. As you might expect, we're highly technology driven. That information or that technology changes, and to keep up with the times, our maintenance changes, things wear out, and at the end of the day, our increase is less than half of Devon's, so. Oh, that probably doesn't make any difference, but let's not go to the total dollar amount right now, probably. But anyway, the total dollar amount is $1,651,299.45 as the portion that the City of Rock Springs is responsible for per the Joint Powers Agreement to run the center. So with that in mind, unless you have some comments, David?
Sure. So the increase to the city would be $85,623.25.
We got that.
Again, it covers some salary increases, the Wyoming retirement increases, additional capital projects that we need to have done this coming year. Most of it's technology driven. We have to replace 3 of our servers next year because we can't go to the next version of VMware vSphere without that. And we had a lot of surprise increases from some of our software vendors this last year, so we have to account for that for next year as well. So, and then, yeah, inflation. That's basically what it comes down to. So, if you have any questions, we're still down 14% since FY19. And then we also added a little bit to our reserves. We do not have a 90-day reserve right now. Our reserves are at 100,000, or will be at 100,000 in our general fund and 40,000 in our 911, because we had wiped it out a couple years ago to cover some of our budget. So we're trying to recover that a little bit too.
Very good. Council?
Yes, same question I had every time we've come up, but with the surcharge on phone bills needing to increase, where are we with that? I think before there were a group of people working towards that. Have we made any progress with our state legislatures? Is there anything moving forward to push to have some kind of a change in what we're able to collect as a fee per
So-
line?
So YDOT had put together some recommendations to the legislature. It didn't make it very far. I think at this point, it might be best to have the local government start pushing back on that a little bit. I think the recommendation was $1.50, if I remember right, so to double the cap. It would still be up to the local 911 authorities, which most of the counties is the county commission. In our case, it would be our joint powers board. They still can set that level, but right now the maximum that we can charge is 75 cents per phone line. The other thing that we're looking at is not just including phone lines, but any broadband connection as well, since we can also get 911 calls from watches, tablets, computers. So there's a lot more going on. We had a lot more 911 calls last year. Not sure why, but they went up about 20%. Our text to 911s were doubled. So we're definitely seeing more coming into our center, and it's not just us, it's the entire state. So the other thing that's coming is we're on a legacy 911 system. It's E911. Next Gen 911 is coming up. There's, I want to say, 3 states in the entire U.S. that have completely converted to Next Gen 911. There's been bills in Congress to try and fund those transitions, but they keep getting kicked down the road as well. So that's also something else we're working on with other counties in the state through the Next Gen 911 working groups that we have. Rick's on the governance and technology. I'm on the technology working group for that. So that's where it's at right now. But as far as the funding goes, there's not a lot of movement.
Where does it stall? What's the reasoning? I mean,
No new taxes. That's
No
it.
new taxes. And it kind of baffles me because the way it's set now, there's not a lot of counties that take advantage of the full anyway. I mean,
We'll do now.
they all do now. Okay. That's a year or two ago, they didn't, I
I
think.
think there was only one.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, they all do now.
Yeah. And it's up to, like you said, the local government, the county or to raise that if need be.
And when I
At
started,
some point, we're going to have to start, if we want these services, we're going to have to start paying for them. That's,
right.
yeah.
When I started 12 years ago, our revenue from 911 was close to
$650,000.
650,000. We're below 400,000 now.
Wow.
So, and that's solely based on number of phone lines in our county. So that doesn't include travelers coming through either. So, and most of our calls come from I-80. We transfer 5,000 calls a year to the Highway Patrol. So,
Oh, wow.
so there's
Yeah,
that.
and they bill on that, and I know we've had that discussion
Yeah.
with the council before, that, you know, they bill on that based upon the billing address. So folks traveling through they don't pay for this
Yeah.
at all. And there still has been no movement on any sort of an audit for the carriers. So, I mean, we're at their mercy. Do I think we're getting shorted? I don't think so, but then I don't know, because there
Yeah.
really isn't a way to find that
There was
out.
something going on in Colorado, wasn't there? Some
Yes.
legislation or something to address that? Has that gone anywhere?
It has not been finalized. It is going on, but it hasn't went anywhere
Okay.
yet.
Council?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
The breakdown, can you give me the breakdown of the percentages of what each entity pays percentage-wise?
Yeah, pursuant to the joint powers agreement, it's 43% City of Rock Springs, 32% City of Green River, and 25% Sweetwater County.
Oh, that irritates me.
Yeah. I think we'll have to talk to our counterparts at the county and the city of Green River to review that particular arrangement. And it, based on my understanding of use, Rock Springs and the county should have a fairly equitable portion that we're paying, and Green River should have the least of the three. So
Yeah, we have provided information about that to our board, and I believe to the governing bodies as well. But I don't really think anything's changed, so we can easily provide that again. So,
yeah, very good.
That's ridiculous.
Okay. Thank you all so much.
Thank you
very much.
Next, we have the Sweetwater County Board of Health.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Kim Lyonberger, and I'm the Director for the Sweetwater County Board of Health. If you recall, last year was the first year that the board requested funding from the cities, and that was pursuant to a statute that requires when there is a district for public health that cities shall fund some of that. And so last year's request, not really knowing where to go with that, it was based on a reduction from the Sweetwater County stipend or the budget amount that they give us. This year, it makes more sense when you look at how public health functions in the rest of the state. In 18 other counties, public health is basically public health nursing, and it's split between a county and a state function. And so most other counties have a mix of state nurses and county nurses, and they don't have an environmental health department at all. So in the rest of the state, most of that would happen with state inspectors doing like the restaurant inspections and stuff. And so when the board was created, this is me trying to ascertain the historical knowledge. So some of you may even know it better than me because you've been here longer than me, but the understanding was going from public health nursing kind of housed between the county and the state to be creating a district which includes the environmental health department to be able to create laws and stuff locally. So being able to keep that locally is we do a better job of making sure that our water is tested and restaurants are inspected and tattoos have regulations. And so the split for environmental health is how I went about the request for this year. So the request is increased. It's a total of $100,000 this year from the City of Rock Springs. The total amount to run the department, environmental health department, is about $265,000. They bring in about $80,000 of their own revenue, and so that 185's split 70-30 between Rock Springs and Green River based on polling data on how many services are provided. The majority of the services for restaurant inspections, water, really kind of everything does fall more into the City of Rock Springs than Green River. And so that still doesn't totally cover the cost of it. And so I have presented a tiered approach. So this year it's a $100,000 request. Next year it will increase. And then the year after it will increase so that that split between Rock Springs and Green River for that remaining amount of environmental health is covered. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Council?
Your Honor.
Sir.
So how much is the county putting in now?
The county's request, they cover basically the public health nursing portion of things. So they will cover the remaining amount. I think it's about $35,000 this year just for environmental health. But then they will put in $500,000 towards the public health nursing portion of things. So theirs is a significant contribution more for public health nursing.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Next
That was
up,
easy.
Right? We have the Ray Lovato Recycling Center.
Oh, no.
I'm back.
No. Just being funny.
Jeez, you guys are giving me a complex. Mayor, councilors, Devin Brubaker, president of the Ray Lovato Recycling Center, a local 501c3 nonprofit organization that focuses on recycling solid waste, as well as working to hire those in the community that may struggle to find employment elsewhere, whether that be to physical, mental disabilities, past addictions, things like that that could prohibit them from achieving employment with other employers. I stand before you today. This is a massive request, $30,000, the exact same request as last year, no increase. If it would help you say yes, I'd be willing to decrease it to $29,999. That way you can say you logged a decrease somewhere. We, in 2023, calendar year 2023, kept just under 1.9 million pounds of materials out of our landfill. We also in this fiscal year made the largest investment in recycling history in the city of Rock Springs with the addition of a feed conveyor and new baler at the recycling center. Some of you were there for the ribbon cutting. Appreciate that. We were able to make that procurement, $145,000 procurement, with no impact to the city, thanks to the support from the Solid Waste District as well as private donations, primarily led by the Kim and Judy Brown Family Foundation. They made a significant contribution towards that. That paid for more than half the cost of that system. It has improved our efficiency. We are processing more materials. We're working with we're working with the solid waste haulers to expand the commercial cardboard operations across the community. We expect to continue to see an increase. You'll see in the justification, there was a high point in 2021 of 1.94 million pounds. That was pandemic induced. People working from home generated a whole lot more waste. And so there was a lot more recycling that happened during the pandemic. So we saw a dip down. And then if you eliminate 2021, you'll see the progression of growth is there and will continue with the new baler. The other thing that the city has done for us has been your fleet maintenance department. When we have fleet issues, we call Mr. McJunkin down there, and he gets our equipment taken care of and then bills us for the parts. But when they have the downtime in between their own fleet, your own fleet, they offer that service to help us with our fleet. So we greatly appreciate that. It's helping us stay operational. So, and that's really a forklift, a pickup truck, and that's about it at this point that we have for fleet. So happy to answer any questions from you all. I guess one last thing, I am now a board member for the Solid Waste District. Number one, we have I think we're almost all fairly new board members at this point, outside of one that's been on the board for, I think, 4 years. We have a new director there, and there's a heavy focus on overall solid waste management and not just landfill management going forward. So I'm hoping both from wearing that hat as well as the hat from the Recycling Center board that we see a more comprehensive approach to solid waste management in our community, including the future of curbside recycling and efforts like that. So just going to take some time, but I have more hope today than I've ever had before that things are moving in a very positive direction there.
Very good. Are there any other organizations tonight?
Not tonight.
Okay.
I could ask Travel and Tourism. We could ask for some money if you'd like.
I don't know why you put up with the abuse.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it seems like you've got way too much time on your hands. Has there been any increase or any changes in the income from the recyclables, the cardboard issue, and how's that?
Yeah, so it's a very good question. It's highly volatile, as it is every single year. We saw record highs during the pandemic. There was so much demand for things like toilet paper. And if you kind of have flashbacks to those nightmares, no, but our product gets turned into toilet paper. So there was a huge demand worldwide for post-consumer products to be able to turn into new products. We have seen a huge decrease in the overall demand due to the global economy shrinking. You see it in air cargo at the airport. You see it in the demand for post-consumer products because they're not producing as many new cardboard boxes because there's just not enough. There's not as much product being shipped. So we see that impacting. We're still fairly strong. Cardboard's our number one product. We're at $90 a ton this month on cardboard. We've seen as high as 180. We've seen as low as -30. So we'll take 90 all day long, but there's a strong indication on the market that that's not going to last because of the demand erosion that's happening. The mills are filling up with supply, which means they just don't need to buy as much. So to get rid of it, we get paid less. So we budget each year based on the same amount for revenue off of recycling every year because there's no way for us to know whether it's going to be really low or really high. And if it's really high, then we factor that into our budget for the next year with carryover and use that to help reduce any kind of support from you all or the Solid Waste District the following year. because it's just otherwise we'd be back mid-year when the markets tank, and I don't think that's a healthy situation to be in. So that's how we do it, at least. Yep.
A question. A couple years ago, you brought forth a long-term strategic plan. How is that proceeding? Are you still going that direction? Is it on a timeline? Where are you with all that?
So I'm going to wear both hats at the same time here from the Solid Waste District and the Recycling Center. There's a lot of things that need to get addressed at the landfill and at the Solid Waste District that the board is adamantly working on to get turned around and fixed and operational for all the taxpayers. That means that the needs of the Recycling Center are there, but we need to make sure that the landfill can stay compliant and do everything they need to do. I think there is a very strong future for that strategic plan. It's just going to get punted here a little bit. We have the new manager on board. He's interim right now, and he's guiding us very well into a better future that focuses on a strategic vision for more than just managing a landfill. And that's what has largely, personal opinion, plagued solid waste management in our community, has been this mindset that the Solid Waste District was only created to manage a landfill instead of manage solid waste. So that has shifted, and I think we'll be there. I just don't have a timeline to tell you today. But I think there's a future of the Recycling Center likely getting moved out to the Solid Waste District, to the landfill, and building the proper size facility with the proper sortation that then allows for curbside recycling to happen countywide, or at least in the bigger metro areas in the county. Well, Green River's struggling with it too. They're struggling with it. If you watch the headlines, what's happening over there, they're struggling with what should they accept, not accept, because of the costs that are involved with recycling. So I just think we have the best chance of success long term right now. You have 5 members of a board of the Solid Waste District that are committed to recycling. The director out there, the manager, is committed to recycling. You have a Recycling Center that's committed to it. And we've never had that together, at least since probably when Paul was on the Solid Waste District board long time ago.
And I think that's the key component, was that board makeup and this relationship between recycling and the Solid Waste District. So that, to me, seems to be moving in the right direction, a positive direction. I know when you presented that, a lot of people in the public were happy and excited to see that we're moving forward. I think it's just nice to reassure them that, yes, that is still the plan. It's just, it does take some time to get the pieces in place. So
there is some monumental needs out at the landfill. There's a new cell being constructed next year. That's, about half of the reserves that are at the landfill are going to be used to build that reserve or build that cell. So that's a high priority. We need new equipment at the landfill. That we have a compactor that has completely failed at this point, sitting in a shop in Casper, and that we need to replace. That's $1 million expenditure. So those things are going to take priority for the Solid Waste District, rightfully so. But I think once the priorities are established for that with the new board and determine the strategic future of the landfill itself, we can then look at the overall strategic future of solid waste management and address that holistically across the county.
thank you.
Your Honor, here's a compliment for you. It sure looks nice down there as compared to what it used to at the recycling center.
I appreciate that. It is not me. I can assure you that. It is the team down there. It's Daryl and the employees that are down there at the center. They do fantastic work. It is a thankless job. If any of you have taken any time to go down there and volunteer, it is a dirty, nasty, disgusting job. They get paid abysmal wages because we can't afford to pay any more than what we pay to do what they do. And they have a lot of pride in what they do. And despite the rough exterior of Daryl, he's the kindest, most caring guy, and he will bend over backwards to see that center succeed. So it's a testament to him and his leadership. It 100% is not me. So please, when you stop down there and recycle, thank those folks down there. So.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the Red Desert Roundup Rodeo.
Hello. I'm Lauren Reed with the Red Desert Roundup Rodeo. We are a nonprofit organization, a 501c4. Our event is organized by all volunteers. We're paid through by city, county funding, travel and tourism grant, mainly through local sponsorships from local businesses, and then ticket sales, gate sales. So this will be our 46th, I think it's our 46th rodeo this year. We'll be doing the Friday morning, we'll be doing a golf tournament out at the White Mountain Golf Course. And then that evening, we'll have our pre-show that will have feature mutton busting for little kids in the community. Then we'll have our rodeo that night. We are bringing in our motorcycle act that we haven't had for maybe about 4 years for after the rodeo. Do the little flips, have a couple of motorcycle riders coming in. And then we have a band that plays until midnight. On Saturday morning, we'll have our parade, and then we'll do it all over again that night. The dates are July 26th and 27th this year, and we are asking for the same amount of money as we have for the last several years, the $8,400 that we use mainly for marketing and paying for some of the costs associated with the rodeo.
Very good. Council?
No questions for me.
Thank you.
Oh, you guys are my favorite.
Okay.
He
next,
looks scared.
right. Next up, we have the Community Fine Arts Center. And I think you're a twofer. If you would like to cover Community Fine Arts and then just segue right into the library. Perfect.
Right into what?
She's covering for the Community Fine Arts Center and then also doing the Rock Springs Library. So we'll just have her do them while she's up here.
Good evening, Mayor Mickelson, councilors. I'm Lindsay Travis. I'm the director for the Sweetwater County Library System. Deborah, the director for the Community Fine Arts Center, is hosting a reception right now down at the Fine Arts Center, so she asked me to fill in for her. As you know, the Fine Arts Center is a department of the Sweetwater County Library System. She gave me some notes, but I will go off script a little bit and just start with when my family looked to move to this area about 15 years ago, we came to visit to see what was here because we didn't really know much about Sweetwater County, Rock Springs. So we came to visit, we visited the museums. The Community Fine Arts Center is one of the things that made us see this as a great community. It's really a gem that we have here in downtown Rock Springs. The Community Fine Arts Center is a collaboration between Sweetwater County, the city of Rock Springs, and the school district. The funds that we're asking for the Community Fine Arts Center is $16,000. Those funds from the city go for programs that we put on, art programs, music programs that we put on through the Fine Arts Center. Some of the things that we funded in the last year, we brought in the 3 Redneck Tenors, which was a music program at the Broadway Theater. We also brought in the Driving the Spike, huge golden spike that was 43 feet long that we brought to downtown Rock Springs. That was along with our Western Expansion Community Show. We had the Grounded exhibit, which featured 15 Indigenous American artists, which was an exhibit that has toured internationally. And I think that's pretty fantastic that we can get stuff like that here in Rock Springs. The CFAC also helped sponsor the Mayor's Arts Awards. They're right now sponsoring youth arts exhibits down at the center. That's what Deborah is doing right now, is she's wrangling a bunch of junior high students that have their artwork up there. So it's pretty cool things that we have here in our community. That's just a sampling of what the CFAC has. The arts help improve the quality of life in our community, and we are honored to be able to continue to provide that here in Rock Springs. And one of the reasons that we can do that is through the help of the city. So I stand for any questions.
Council? Okay, library.
Library. All right. All right. Again, I'm still the director for the Sweetwater County Library System, but I did manage the Rock Springs Library for about 6 years before I became the director. That it's a very unique library that I think is great that we have here in our community, right downtown. It's always busy there. We always have lots of kids, lots of fun activities happening. This year, the Rock Springs Library is requesting $20,000 from the city, which is the same that we asked for last year. Those funds would be used in the following ways. Building maintenance, we use those funds to help maintain the former Carnegie Library, which is the part of the library that the city owns, because that's a very unique building, partially owned by the city, partially owned by the county. So the maintenance includes everything from maintaining the elevator, paying for utilities, purchasing cleaning supplies, all that kind of stuff. It also would pay for our youth programs. The youth programs are the real gem of that library. We have fantastic dynamic programs that bring in kids and help keep them entertained, help keep them learning, help keep them interested in reading. So the city funds always help with that program along with our summer reading program. They will also help fund the Children's Discovery Center, which is in the city portion of that building. That's the mini children's museum that's in the basement. That's just a fantastic thing. It brings in so many people to the library that never would have gone there if we hadn't put that in. And that was all a volunteer effort to help put that together. The library is definitely starting to see pre-pandemic numbers again. So far this fiscal year, we've held 255 programs with a total attendance of 9,000 people. The Children's Discovery Center has seen 7,600 people. And the library's public access computers are used an average of 250 times a month. So it's a very well-used building. Every day after school, there are kids there who are using the computers, just hanging out at the library. And I think that's a great place for them to be. The library system has also recently awarded a capital construction grant that's going to help pay for some renovations. And one of the things we're going to do is renovate the Johnson Room, which is a meeting room that's in there that we've had closed since COVID hit. And it's going to be a fantastic renovation with a kitchen that we can do all sorts of different programs. So that's really exciting. That's money that we were able to bring in from another source that will help renovate the building and bring in more people to use the facility. So overall, the library system, we're grateful to be able to continue to provide services in downtown Rock Springs, and we're happy for any help that the city can give us.
Very good. Council? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the Sweetwater County Family Resource Center.
Good evening. My name is Julie. I'm the administrative assistant for the Sweetwater Family Resource Center. This is Bobby. He's the vice president of the Sweetwater Family Resource Center board. We're here tonight for, we believe, the first time to ask the city of Rock Springs if you would give us a little bit of help with our rent so that we can take our grant money that we get and put it towards our clients. We're asking for $36,000. That's a $3,000 rent for our building. And if we could get that money, we can give more to our clients. Since 2001, we've helped the county, the entire county, not just Rock Springs and Green River, but Farson and outlying cities, pay rent and utilities to prevent their eviction. We also have, when the funding is there, emergency shelter for the homeless. Also, with the second part of our building, we are able to have a place for safe visitations, court-ordered visitations or not, and exchanges. This last year alone, we helped 1,046 individuals, and that included 234 children. We do have federal grants that we get every year, but they do not have a lot of overhead costs, so we're having to use that money to pay our rent, which in turn affects our community. So again, we're just asking for a little bit of help to help out our community.
Council?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you seen increases lately?
There was to use a kind of a blasé term, ginormous increase when we had the ERAP program. That was the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. They provided us with, I believe it was $180 million. All the states got this, not just Wyoming. And we were helping probably up towards 12 people a day in our office, 12 appointments a day. So since that program stopped, we've seen a sharp decrease, but unfortunately now that it's over, people are like, oh wait, we have to pay rent again. So they need to come to us for help.
Yeah, because I do a lot of writ or restitutions for the sheriff's office, and I see a lot of people on.
We see your name quite a lot too.
So in saying that you cover the whole county, have you approached the county in Green River?
We do get money from the county and from Green River as well. We just don't get any from Rock Springs
Okay. Very
yet.
good.
We're hoping to change that.
Counselor?
Yeah, thanks, Your Honor. Just out of curiosity, how long have the county and Green River been donating or providing funds, and in what amounts, if you recall?
So far to the board's knowledge, the county and the city of Green River have been assisting the Family Resource Center since at least 2018. That was the last bit of information we received last month in a monthly board meeting. So that is best guess.
Okay, and do you know the amounts?
I do not, unfortunately. I can have those requisitions and sent to you probably within the next 24 hours.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the Treatment Court of Sweetwater County.
Good evening, Council and Mayor Mickelson. My name is Augusta Clayton Davis, and I'm the Director for Treatment Court of Sweetwater County. I'm going to keep it short and sweet for you tonight. You've read my application, and this last year we served 39 participants. Within those 39, we also help their children, families to create this healing all together. Also this year, thanks to the City of Rock Springs' support, we were able to implement our DUI track that we came and talked to you about last year. So right now we have 8 participants, which I think we were shooting for 5. By this time, we've only been up and running for, I think, about 2 months. So it's growing very quickly. We asked for less than we did last year due to asking for the amount for training, and then we needed scram monitors and breathalyzers as well for our program. So thank you for those as well. We just really appreciate the support from the City of Rock Springs, the employers, citizens, all of you. We wouldn't be able to be here if it wasn't for you. We have to have a 30% match on our grant. Although we are rolling over under the Wyoming Supreme Court, it's only under a grant. For the Wyoming Supreme Court, I think it's going to take some time for them to actually absorb us, but for right now, we're still a nonprofit.
Very good. Counsel?
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to say that I work in the same building as Clayton Davis, and I've had opportunity to see her and her program and how it works and how it grows. And I've got to say, in the last 6 or 7 years that I've been around and observed it, it's grown and developed into a really a good program for the community, and I think it's a definite asset to us.
Very good.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Star Transit.
Honorable Mayor, Councilors, my name is Dwayne Pacheco. I am the Director of Sweetwater County Transit Authority as of December, and so I'm learning a lot from these fine folks representing this is our board, Jeff Ramay, Verge Bodyfelt, Shea, Steve Shea, and Les Mauk, who's our chairman. Our ask this year is $34,000, the same as we've had for the last couple years. It's been the same for the last 3 years, actually. But I just want to go over some of the services that we provide and essential services they are for our community. We provide a transit service for the entire Sweetwater County, but Rock Springs is the majority of our riders, followed by Green River, and then, of course, the county. Our target is elderly, our disabled folks, as well as our low income, but we will transport anyone that calls. We operate 5 days a week, from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m., and our ridership is up. When I started in December, we were only operating for 4 days. We've been able to operate 5 days a week, so we increased our operation hours. We also have been able to hire 2 drivers, so we're able to have 6 drivers, and then we have 3 dispatchers, and we have an accountant as well. So we've been able to increase some staff, which increases our ridership and provides just a better product for our community. We are looking at some marketing enhancements this summer. One of the things that I'm excited about is that we're going to provide an application, I should say a phone app for our customers. That's part of our basically our mapping system and the way we are able to schedule our riders. And so we'll be rolling that out towards the end of the summer when we expect to get one of our first of 3 new buses that will not require CDLs. We'll be getting that at the end of the summer, and then we'll get another one about 30 days later, and then we'll get a 3rd bus by the end of the year. So that's about a quarter of our fleet that we'll be able to turn over. So you'll see some really good products coming out of our agency. Partnerships with the airport and with Explore, Rock Springs, and Green River, and those types of doors I've been trying to open so that we can provide more services for the county. We're excited for some of the future information that we're receiving as far as the businesses go and the stimulus to our economy. So we're excited to be partners with that and helping out as we see an influx of persons in our community. We expect our ridership to go up. It's my hope that I'll come with an increase next year, or an increased ask, because our ridership is up and our demand is so great. I stand for any questions that you might have.
Very good. Council?
Question on the money that's contributed from the city. Am I correct that is really for grant match? So for every dollar you get from us, you get how much in return in federal? And that's the key to this, is it really helps the funding from the federal level.
Mayor, Councilor Zadi, absolutely. You're exactly right. Our match, when you look at all of our contributions from government or from local cities and the county, is about a 2-to-1. And so the more that you provide us, the better service and the more monies we can get from our federal grant.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think you'll ever go back to the fixed routes?
So, Mayor, Councilor Demas, Councilor was on our board for several years, a couple of terms as far as I understand. And we do have an opening if you'd like to come back. So after COVID, Mary, our previous director, determined that it was more beneficial to go door to door. And what we found was the maintenance costs went down. We were able to provide more ridership and probably a better service than we had before. Our numbers, we were looking at numbers, and there's always, if we have a boom and bust economy, that's when you'll see our numbers, ridership, go up and go down. I don't suspect that we'll be seeing those routes come back unless there's a serious demand for it. It just, it feels like, and the feedback we get from our customers is it's easier to get from point A to point B. And with the number of drivers that we have, we're actually able to do some same-day service as well. So once we get the new bus, we'll actually add another part-time driver, and we'll be able to provide more of those same-day services. We do ask for a 24-hour, if not longer, call in to schedule those rides. Hope that answers your question.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Will your upcoming app change that 24-hour notice request at all, or?
So that's part of the challenge, is that on-demand service. And the way that the scheduling software works is if we have a driver available, it will automatically allow them to schedule that ride. If not, it won't allow them for that time slot that they're requesting.
Okay, great.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Yes, sir. Next, we have the Rock Springs Chamber of Commerce.
Mayor and council, thank you so much. I'm not Devin Brubaker.
You're just
though I wish I was. My name is Rick Lee. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Rock Springs Chamber of Commerce. And in 2026, the Rock Springs Chamber of Commerce will be celebrating our 90th year as a chamber serving the city of Rock Springs, its businesses, and thousands of families. In those 88 years, the chamber has evolved and adjusted to the needs of the community, and our mission continues to be to enhance the quality of business and community. Our ask for this year is the same as last year, $30,000. Our events, our advocacy, our interactions, our interconnections, our facilitating are all for the purpose of community growth and development. We're here to support you in your efforts and work in partnership for our common goal, which is to improve our community. And that's really our only goal. We don't have an agenda. We don't have any personal issues that we want to accomplish. We just want to make things better for our future and our children's future. Funding from the city and what we've always received from you is applied to our budget and our budget cycle to help contribute to the wages of our quality employees. And as you know, hiring quality employees in any business that you have is a challenge. And it's difficult to keep them when we can't pay good wages. And I know everybody in this room faces the same issue. But contributions from the city help us to accomplish that. We also create a budget that supports opportunities to enhance our community's interests. And that's really, again, what our only goal is. As you are painfully aware, and everybody in this room, inflation is wreaking havoc. That's been said here a couple times from this pulpit. It's probably worse than any other time in recent history. And I know the challenges that you all have with not only the city budget, but your own individual businesses and the challenges that you're facing in your own homes. But we hope that you understand this unassumed request that is needed for the continuation of our great community. And we can demonstrate, and hopefully we can demonstrate and show to you your continued return on your investment in the Chamber of Commerce. So thank you, and I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Very good, Council.
Rick, is membership up?
Membership is up. It's fluctuating. We get pretty excited because, Counselor, we get several people coming in wanting to join the chamber, not necessarily people moving in and joining the chamber, just businesses that are already established in here. And then we'll have several calls in the week saying we're going out of business, we're done. So there's that balance, but it is up about 3% from last year.
Just want to thank the chamber for the partnership with the city and other organizations, and you're helping and promote local business.
Thank you, Counselor.
And the group you have is great to work with, and employees and that, so.
They are. I agree. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, sir. And now in the tradition of The Price is Right, I'd say Lisa Stewart, come on down. No, we try to rotate people through, but in this year we thought we'd save the best for last.
Very kind. Mayor and council, thank you for having me. Lisa Stewart, Boys and Girls Club. I'm here asking for $7,500 to help stop the wind outside.
Oh, thank you.
It is absolutely crazy, and the kids are upset because it's not even warm wind. It's cold wind, and so we're dealing with that. But, everybody's talking about inflation and the cost, and it's everywhere. Just our insurance tripled this year. Just our insurance. It has been something that's out there. Building insurance, we have an older building, struggle, and they just didn't care who we were, what we had to say. They just got us. Food, supplies, wages. maintenance. Anything that's out there is just a huge cost to what we're trying to do every day. We're seeing anywhere from 80 to 90 kids walking in the door. We're about 10, 15 short from pre-COVID, so it's climbing back up there. Our teens are starting to come back, different teens, some that used to come. So that's a positive note. And we know from Boys and Girls Club that if we keep kids off the street, that it is a benefit to the city because there's less trouble. And anytime that the kid's in trouble, they're more likely to stay in the system more than once. And that is a cost to all of us, to the taxpayers and everybody. So our goal is to have a safe environment, a welcoming environment to where kids want to show up every day, to where we can help them, not just with their homework, but with their social life. Like since COVID, it's a true thing. It's not just us. Everywhere in the nation, kids are coming with more severe anxiety and social problems than they've ever had, trauma-informed things. And so we just want to be there so that when they walk in the door, they have that consistency. What is going on? Somebody in their life that they know, hey, I know I'm going to get fed. There are sometimes that some kids, we don't know what's happening when they go home until they get to school the next day or what's going on. And so we want to be a part of that. We want to be part of that stability for our children and for the families out there to help them as well. We give out food. We refer to a lot of the agencies that were here today on things from rent to, what do they need? What can we help them with? If we can't, we refer them out there. And so I'm here today to ask, for that support, just to help us, to help the community and our youth.
Council?
Your Honor, I would just say that if she can figure out a way to get the wind to stop, we give her Devon's portion.
Yes. And then we will be set. I'll never have to talk to you again. Challenge accepted. We'll work on that in the STEM room. Poor Devon. I'm sorry, Devon.
I want to, invite anybody, hopefully it's okay, to tour the facility.
Yeah,
in the council,
anytime, yep.
because we've gone through a number of times, and it is an old building. It is in need of maintenance, but the thing is, things that are done, and Lisa will point out, oh, so-and-so volunteered and did this, or I think your husband's done this. And
yeah, don't remind him, but yeah. I'll text him. So this thing broke off in the electrical thing. How do I get it out of there? Do I have to turn off the breaker? Or he's like, oh, it's just a ground. I'm like, well, I don't know that, Mr. Electrician, so thank you. But yeah.
They do rely a lot on the community to help support the facility. And I know just people who have used the Boys and Girls Club, from employees or others and people I know, that it's just a huge benefit and something that they just really, really appreciate as a place for their kids to go and know that they're safe. They're being helped with their schoolwork, and they're learning things. They're not just on their own, and parents wondering what's going on. Yeah. So yeah, it is. There's a lot going on there. If you look and see what they've done with the facility and how they utilize it, they do a great job. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And you're all welcome to come and see. We are always changing things up, and what's really nice about it is that the kids recognize it. Oh, hey, that wall's a different color, or hey, you put that on there. So it's their building. Like they have a vested interest when they walk in the door. It's not the adults, it's the kids, and they know what's going on, and they like to be a part of it, and they help take care of it. The teens volunteer. Hey, do you want me to sweep that? Do you want me to pick that up? Do we need to do this? And so we're there teaching them to give back to community, to give back to club, and to take care of themselves as well. So
very good.
The Boys and Girls Club is a gem that we've got here. I've got a niece that lives in the Salt Lake area, and as her kids were growing up and she was going through school, I suggested to her and my brother, Boys and Girls Club. They're like, we don't have one
in Salt Lake,
in their area by Riverton.
Riverton, Wyoming, or Riverton, Utah. Yeah, I'm not really sure how that goes. We're in a different area. So Boys and Girls Clubs, there's over 4,000 strong, and in the United States, overseas military as well. Not really. So right now, if they wanted to have a club, they would have to reach out to somebody in the movement and then find a sponsor of another club to sponsor them. And sometimes it's based on population and whether you can sustain, like, how are you going to support the overhead of that? Because they don't write us checks. I wish they did, but we are individual nonprofits under their umbrella, but we are we're in charge of our own revenue. And so there's a lot of, you know, how are you going to sustain it? Where are you going to get the building? How are you going to pay for the employees? And so it's you know, when we did this, it took, I think, a couple years for that to happen, and then to get, we're still considered infancies. We're in our 14th, 15th year, and we're still considered a baby compared to some of those out there. But there is ways that they can do it, just like a community member reached out, and then I think at that time they found a panel of people, and then BGC came in, and then we started the whole process of what that looks like.
Yeah, I remember we used to bring the bikes down.
Yep, and
when
fix
we'd
on
do
the bikes.
Patrols down there, the kids would just light up when we'd walk in,
Yeah,
so it was,
we do
it was
appreciate
always
when
fun.
people come, and we love it. Any, you know, come Fridays, we're there all day, 9.5 hours, breakfast, lunch, and snack. Come on in, 9, 12, and 3. So just come on in, we'll feed you.
Okay. All righty. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, and so we are at the final agenda item for this evening, which is any discussion or questions that any of the council would like to.
Your Honor, I would just like to say, I feel for all these outside agencies, I feel for our internal departments. There's only so much pie to go around, so for anybody that us at the Budget Committee make mad, I apologize in advance.
Yeah. The general approach that we're taking this year is to try to be conservative both in our estimates for revenue and in our budgeting, and then to hope things go better than anticipated, because we do have some new costs that we did not anticipate this year, and so we're going to do our best to help you all out. But it's going to be a wild time. So with that, go one.